with Hamlet's Soliloquy. Soliloquy? Yeah, Hamlet's Soliloquy at the very end of Act 2, which we talked about some on whatever day that was, Monday. And I want to pick up with about line 521. Okay. In this soliloquy, remember, Hamlet begins by talking about the little scene that we saw just previously with the players, the actors that entered the scene. And Hamlet, asked the chief actor, the first player, do you remember? And he mentions a scene from a play, and the guy says yes. And so he reenacts, or he acts out that scene. And in that scene, Hecuba, the wife of Priam of Troy, is mourning over the loss of her, it's either her son or Priam, I can't remember which. Okay? And the guy just has tears running down his face and everything. So they leave, and Hamlet says, here's this guy who, because of a fiction, expresses this great turmoil. He says, I'm actually going to pick up back to the beginning. He says, now I am alone. What a rogue and peasant slave am I? And I asked the other day, how is he a slave? Well, I backed it up and then said, a person who's a slave lacks what? Freedom. Lacks freedom. Can't freely carry out his or her own will, do what he or she desires. So Hamlet listens to this and says, I'm a slave. How so? Listen to what he says next. Is it not monstrous, this player here, in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could force his soul so to his own conceit? Conceit there means kind of acting it out, making it palpable for the rest of us. That's how Hamlet is a slave. He can't show everybody what goes on inside. Why not? Go back to his first speech in response to his mother, saying, why seems it so particular to thee? Your father's death. He says, seems, madam, I know not seems. I have that within which surpasseth all show. He's telling them, I'm a rumbling volcano inside. I can't really show it. Okay? So the rest of this soliloquy, until about the last 15 lines, is all about that. It's all about Hamlet is just ready to burst, but he can't let it out. All right? He says, I've got so much more to show than this actor does, but I can't. So, he says, line 521, back to where I said we were going to start. Am I a coward? That is, do I not reveal this because I'm afraid to? Who calls me villain? Who breaks, that is, slaps me across the head, plucks my beard, blows it in my face? And he's saying, if anybody did any one of these things to me, they'd end up on the ground. If somebody called me a coward to my face, bang, I'd smack them. If they hit me across the head, I'd deck them. If they plucked my beard, I'd deck them. Everything he's saying, if anybody did any of these, they'd be down for the count. Swoons, I should take it, for it cannot be, but I am pigeon-livered and lack gall to make oppression bitter, or ere this I should have fatted all the region kites. He then goes and says, I must be a coward. Why? Because if I weren't, before this, that is, before I am speaking right now, I would have fatted, but when he refers to kites, he's talking like vultures. Well, where do we tend to see vultures? Dead animals, dead bodies. He says, I would have so fattened the vultures. How so? With Claudius's dead body. And because I haven't, I must be a coward. I haven't done these things. Bloody, bawdy villain, remorseless, treacherous, lecherous, kindless villain. He's talking about Claudius. Okay. By using all these terms, what's he telling us Claudius deserves? Death. Oh, vengeance. Why, what an ass am I? This is most brave. I, the son of a dear father murdered, prompted to my revenge by heaven and hell. Is that true? Does heaven ever say, let's say in the words of the Bible, if someone wrongs you, go get them? No. It says the exact opposite. In the New Testament, the Old Testament, the Levitical laws, Exodus and stuff, if someone plucks an eye out, do what? Go pluck theirs out. If someone takes from you, take from them. If someone kills somebody in your family, you kill eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, man for a man. Okay? New Testament, if someone punches you, turn the other cheek. If someone takes your cloak, give them your shirt also. If someone asks you to go for a mile with them, go 2 miles. He who would save his life must lose it. He who would find his life must lose it. You want to follow me? Take up your cross. That is, be crucified for everybody else. Suffer what everybody else says. Okay? So he says, prompted to my revenge by heaven and hell. He's not prompted by heaven. That's where Hamlet's wrong. He might be prompted by hell. Where did the ghost of his father say he came from? He didn't state purgatory directly, but he said, from a place of fire where my sins are burned away. That implies purgatory. However, take kind of the play within the Christian theological tradition. What do Christians believe, for example, about demons or devils? C.S. Lewis said it very famously in his little book, The Screwtape Letters. What do we know about Satan? Christ even says this. He's a liar. He's a liar. Okay? Is the ghost really the ghost of Hamlet Sr.? No. Could be. We don't know for sure. Looks like it. Hamlet says, you look like my dad. You talk, you walk like my father. And yet the New Testament also says what? For example, about demons. They can take shapes, forms of people we know. The devil can appear as an angel of light, for example, which is why John, in the letters, 1st through 3rd John, says, test the spirits to see whether they are of God or not. Does he do that at all? Does he go up to that spirit, that ghost, and say, okay, I'm not going to trust my eyes here. So I'm going to find out, are you really the ghost of my father, or are you a false kind of demonic spirit? Do you believe Jesus is the Son of God? Well, even the demons say that. When Christ casts them out of people, they go, what do we have to do with you, Jesus, O Son of God? And he tells them to shut up. What John says in the letters to do is to say, is Jesus the Son of God who died and rose again? If they don't accept all that, they're demonic. Okay? Hamlet doesn't do any of that. So he doesn't know 100% where this thing is from. He believes it's his father. Okay? So, prompted by heaven and hell. I must, like a whore, unpack my heart with words and fall a cursing like a very... Notice, what's his vengeance so far? Wah, 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 wah. All I can do is talk about it. He hasn't done anything yet. Has he had an opportunity yet? Within the context of the play that we've seen. Has he been alone with Claudius? No, he hasn't. He's going to be not too much longer. Okay? So he comes up with an idea at the end of the soliloquy, which he's already alluded to in his conversation with the first player. And he tells us what he alluded to. He says, I've heard that guilty creatures sitting at a play have by the very cunning of the scene been struck so to the soul that presently they have proclaimed their malefactions. In other words, you put a guilty person in a theater to watch a play, and the play reenacts what the guilty person did. The guilty person will go, oh, got me. That's what he's going to do. So we're going to see, like with Midsummer Night's Dream, a play within a play. Shakespeare loves that image, by the way. He does it in several of his plays. So he says, jump to the end of the soliloquy, the play's the thing, back up. I'll have back up even more. Line 550. The spirit that I have seen may be the devil. Now he admits it. And the devil hath power to assume a pleasing shape. That's what I was just talking about. See, Hamlet hasn't told us he's aware of that until this point. Yea, and perhaps out of my weakness and my melancholy, as he is very potent with such spirits, that is, spirits of weakness, sadness, melancholy, sorrow, depression, he abuses me to damn me. Maybe that wasn't my father. Maybe that was a spirit damned from hell, a demon. And maybe that spirit realizes I'm already weakened and I'm already depressed, and he's trying to draw me down. So notice what Hamlet's doing here. He's thinking. He's going back to what he said in his previous soliloquy about how thought, right, can take away the native hue of resolution. I'm going to do this, and then you start thinking, is it right or is it wrong? Well, he's thinking, is it right or is it wrong? I'm going to prove whether or not the spirit was telling the truth. How? I'm going to put a play on in front of Claudius. And in that play, I'm going to have a brother pour poison in a king's ear. And that king will die, and the brother will then marry the king's wife. Pretty much what the spirit told Hamlet Claudius did. And if Claudius responds, that's my proof. It's proof of what? What the spirit told me was true. In other words, then I can be sure that what I saw wasn't a demon from hell, but was actually my father's ghost. And therefore, I can go ahead with the vengeance, with the murder, and be cool with it. Kind of, okay? So, Act 3. Act 3 begins with the king talking to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Remember, Hamlet's friends. They're Hamlet's university friends. They should be at university. Okay? And Rosencrantz and Guildenstern tell the king and queen, can't figure out what's wrong with him. Yeah, he's sad. He seems depressed. Nothing brings him joy in life. Okay? And the king says, okay, well, we want you to keep pressing him. Okay? So, the king tells Gertrude, you leave us to line 28, okay? For we, Polonius and I, have closely, that means secretly, sent for Hamlet hither. That is, we've told Hamlet to come here, all right? That he is torn by an accident may here affront Ophelia. So, notice what we're being told. here's the stage. Okay? These are the doors. Back here is the tiring house, which is where people change costumes and all that kind of stuff. So it, kind of looks like this. And this is the stage. There's big columns here. This is the overhang so that there's a roof. And what he's telling us is we're going to stand, imagine that as a curtain. Okay? When the doors are supposed to be open, the curtain's pulled aside. When the doors are supposed to be closed, the curtain's closed. Sometimes there are actually doors here, and when the doors are open, the door will be open and the curtain will be drawn. Sometimes the door will be closed and the curtain will still be open, or the door will be open and the curtain will be closed over it. So, because of what Polonius said, we'll have Hamlet kind of accost, if you want, Ophelia and talk with her, and we will stand behind the arras. That's the curtain. And we'll listen. He says, we will be lawful espials. How is it lawful? Line 32, her father and myself, lawful espials. Espile just means spies. How will they lawfully be spying on Hamlet? What's Claudius? He's the king. He can do what he wants. In a real monarchy, you can't think modern England. It's not a real monarchy. It's a parliamentary monarchy where Parliament has the power. The monarch has no power. Queen Elizabeth has no power. When she dies and Charles becomes king, he'll have no power. He has a lot of money. He has a lot of perks. No real power. Okay? In this day, Queen Elizabeth had all the power, really. I mean, yeah, Parliament had some stuff, but she could dissolve Parliament. She could have people arrested, sent to the Tower. They could plead Magna Carta, right to trial by jury, all that kind of stuff that we now have because of Magna Carta and such. But she could have them executed, and she did. She had people executed. She had people's tongues cut out. She had people's hands cut off who wrote things nasty about her. And people think Trump's bad because he gets on Twitter. Trump has nothing against real despots or real monarchs. I'm not, supporting. I'm saying, you want a real monarch, get into this society where the king can do anything, okay, or queen in that case. So, he says, we will bestow ourselves that seeing unseen, that is, we will see, but we will be unseen. What's he mean? People out here won't see us. And Hamlet won't see them. We may of their encounter frankly judge. Now, everything Claudius is telling us gives us an indication about the nature of Hamlet's next speech. Okay? So what's he saying? We will see what goes on. We will hear what goes on. In order for that to imaginatively occur within the world of the stage, which is this, they have to be where? They have to be somewhere on that stage. So, they're here. Where? Behind the curtain. But they are still within, let's say, this point. They're still on the stage. Okay, this is really important. Moreover, what do they say? Ophelia comes in, okay, and they say, Ophelia, walk you here. So let's say Ophelia is now here. She's on the stage, physically, okay? So she says, the queen says to Ophelia, Ophelia, I do wish that your good beauties be the cause of Hamlet's wildness. I hope Hamlet's crazy because of how beautiful you are, because of how wonderful you are. Why? So shall I hope your virtues will bring him to his wonted way again. Your virtues, all of your good behavioral characteristics. What's she kind of implying at here? Just as you're the cause, possibly, of his defects, You can be the cure of those defects. To both your honors. And I think that to both your honors means it will bring an honor to Hamlet and it will bring an honor to you. And I think she's alluding to the fact that she wants Ophelia and Hamlet to marry. Even though Polonius has said, Ophelia, Hamlet is outside your league. You're not even close. Because I'm going to give something away. If you've not finished the play, sorry. If you have, you've heard it or seen it. Ophelia dies. Hamlet jumps in her grave because he's so struck with emotion. And Gertrude's like, damn, I had really hoped they would marry. I mean, she literally tells us, I hoped they would get married. Right? That kind of implies she really thinks Hamlet loves her, and she really thinks Ophelia loved Hamlet. So Ophelia says, yeah, I wish so too. So Polonius says, walk you here. And he says to the king, let's bestow ourselves. He gives Ophelia a book. What kind of book? That show of such an exercise may color your loneliness. The implication, because of the next little part, that with devotion's visage, pious action, we do sugar o'er the devil himself. He's saying, I'm giving you a book, and it's like a prayer book, or like a Bible. So that with devotion's visage, with a look on your face of utter devotion to God, okay, we sugar o'er the devil himself. Now, you can read that a variety of ways. One of the ways you can read that is he's saying to Ophelia, look holy. Why? Because what I'm asking you to do isn't. What I'm asking you to do is kind of devilish. Okay? Because it's spying. Notice how Ophelia is engaged in this whole scene. She's kind of a pawn. Does she have much volition here? Does she really get to choose? No, not really. Her father's telling her to do this, and moreover, the king is telling her to do this. Okay? She goes, okay. Notice how the king responds to Polonius' little comment. Oh, 'tis too true. That is, with devotion's visage and pious action, we sugar over the devil himself. Sugar over has two meanings. Like we take something sour and we put a sugar coating on it to make it taste better. Like the way some people drink coffee. My brother, for example. He'll have, like an 8-ounce cup of coffee. And I'm not kidding. He'll put in like 5 teaspoons of sugar. I mean, why not just lick molasses? Because it's pretty much what you're doing. Okay? Why? Because coffee in and of itself is bitter. He doesn't like the taste of just plain black coffee. Okay? Or another way of understanding that is the idea of sugaring, like powdered sugar is what color? Totally white. Some have said that, with the the portraits that we have of Queen Elizabeth, the white powder on her face was powdered sugar. We know she loved sugar because her teeth were black because she ate it all the time. She would chew on sugar cane, which would come from the New World, back over. So the king says, ow, man, that hurts. Got me. Why? Because all throughout the play so far, what's he been doing over? He's been sugaring over with the visage of devotion, what? His devilish, rotten intents. Well, those devilish, rotten intents go back to when? To before the play opened when he killed his brother and is now sleeping with his brother's wife. Okay? Polonius, here he comes. Let's withdraw. So we're told the king and Polonius exeunt, which means they leave. Now, my interpretation of the play, based upon what the king has said, is They don't go back here. They don't go all the way within the tiring house. But they come in here and they pull the curtain. So that if you were standing right here, like my wife used to do, arms on the stage and looking just at the bottom hem of the curtain, you can see their toes or the tips of their shoes. Because again, remember what both Polonius and the king say. They will be able to hear what is said. Right? So Hamlet comes in. And he delivers what? What is the speech usually called? It's usually called a soliloquy. It's usually called, in fact, the greatest soliloquy in the English language. The greatest soliloquy ever written by any English playwright or American. Okay? But it's not a soliloquy. Why? Because Ophelia's on the stage. I mean, she is definitely on the stage. Hamlet is not the only one there. In a soliloquy, you have to be solo queen. Queen means speak. A single person talking. And in a soliloquy, again, what does the speaker do? What does the speaker reveal to us?
His thoughts.
His thoughts. That one of the reasons this is called the greatest soliloquy is because we're led to believe this is entirely the turmoil in Hamlet's heart. I'm going to argue, no, it's not. That everything Hamlet says here is designed to be heard. And that's because I think when Hamlet comes out, Shakespeare doesn't give us a stage direction. But when Hamlet comes out, he looks, and there, off in his peripheral vision, corner of the stage, maybe even right here, like partially hidden by the column, he sees Ophelia. Now remember, he has, we're told, closely, secretly been sent for. Okay? We're not told if that secretly been sent for means, dear Hamlet, Polonius and I would like to speak with you. Signed, the king. Meet me in X room. And Hamlet goes, and they're not there. We're not told if it says, dear Hamlet, I would like to see you. XXXO. Love and kisses, Ophelia. All we're told is he's been sent for, and this is where he's supposed to appear. He comes out, he appears, he sees Ophelia. And I think everything that follows is designed for Ophelia to hear. Why? Because Hamlet knows he's being spied on already. It's why he tells his friends after he speaks with the ghost, if I put on an antic disposition at various points, don't let anyone know that I'm doing that. He's telling us, I'm going to do that. Why? Because I'm being watched. Okay? So, greatest soliloquy in the English language, supposedly. To be or not to be? That is the question. And I'm going to read it one way, but I really encourage you, get on YouTube and just type to be or not to be. And you'll see a bunch of different actors doing this. Benedict Cumberbatch, his version, Kevin Kline's version, what's his name? Jessica Jones, bad guy, English actor, Doctor Who, Scottish, David Tennant version of it. There's a whole bunch. There's one black actor. What is his name? I mean, he's just one of the greatest actors in the world. I've seen him in a couple of productions. I can see his face. Jeffrey you look a lot like him. I mean, similar facial structure. What is the guy's name? Anyways, watch their different versions. Because some of them come out and do this really loud, and others come out and they're almost just barely whispering. Okay? To be or not to be? That is the question. What does it really mean? To be or not to be? To live or to die? That's the question. Notice that sounds an awful lot like what? Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew. Or that the everlasting had not fixed his canon against self-slaughter. It sounds like should I go on living or should I kill myself? Well, that first soliloquy, the real soliloquy, was about suicide. Partially, at least. So, this sounds like it's going to be similar. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing in them. Notice, 'tis nobler, it shows more nobility in the mind to suffer, notice, what fortune throws at us. It's the same fortune that he was talking about with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. When they said, we're indifferent. He says, oh, so you're not the button on fortune's cap? They said, no. Nor are you beneath the soles of her foot? No. Oh, so you're about her privates. They say, faith, her private's weak. Okay? So the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, the things, what's he really talking about? That life throws at you daily. Or, so whether it's nobler to suffer, to endure that, or to take arms against the sea of troubles. Now, to take arms, if you were to update that to weapon up, man, to get whatever weapons you can to fight the sea of troubles. And by opposing those sea of troubles in them. Now, you could go all postal with this and say, what's he talking about? Well, people bother me. You bother me. Boom! You bother me. That's why I said going postal. Going crazy. Everybody gives you a dirty look. That's not what he means. What's he mean? What's the sea of troubles? It's outrageous fortune. How do you end outrageous fortune? You're going to stand there and go, all right, goddess fortune, you and me, come on. How do you stop those problems? You stop yourself. Why do people commit suicide? Because they can't take it anymore. They can't face the troubles anymore. To die. Notice that's what he's talking about. To die. To sleep. Why to sleep? What do we put? What do you see sometimes? You actually almost never see this if you take a walk through a cemetery. RIP. What's it mean? Rest in peace. Comes from the Latin. Requiescat in pacem. Okay? Rest. That's like sleep in peace. We use sleep as a metaphor for death. Okay? So-and-so entered their eternal rest. Oh, they're sleeping. So, to die, to sleep. That is, I'm going to use a metaphor for dying. To sleep. No more. No more what? No more slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. No more opposing sea of troubles. Right? Because what happens when we go to sleep at night? When you fall asleep, what happens to that day's problems? For how long? Until you wake up. While you're asleep, they're gone. But then you wake up again. And you're faced with maybe not the exact same troubles, but other troubles. You still got to go to work. You got to come to class. You got to listen to Sherman. You got to do whatever. And by a sleep, to say we end the heartache, notice what he names first, the heartache, and the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. Why does he mention heartache first? What do you mean by heartache? Why do sometimes people's, metaphorically, hearts ache? We're not talking about heart attacks. That's a literal pain in the heart. What's a metaphorical pain in the heart?
Heartbroken.
Heartbroken, which we depict with a broken heart. Okay? How is your heart broken? You fall in love with someone and that love isn't reciprocated. I love you. Sorry, I don't. I don't love you back. Not that way. Can we be friends? No, we can't. That's what he's. So why does he mention that first? Because there she is, standing on the stage. Cue the tagline of any great country western song. She ripped my heart out and stomped that sucker flat. That's kind of Hamlet. Okay? Or, he says, and the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to. You guys are all young. You're in your so-called prime. I'm way over. Okay? Just wait till you wake up when you're 58. And you're like, man, my knees hurt, my shoulders hurt, my elbows, everything hurts. Why? Because it's the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to. Shocks. Where do you get shocked from? When you bounce off or against something. That's why cars have shock absorbers, so that when you're in the car, you don't feel every bump on the road. Imagine if you didn't have rubber tires, but instead you had round metal like discs, like they had on old buggies and carriages, without any springs. It'd be hell. That's what he's saying life is like. It's a consummation, a completion, an ending, a finishing, devoutly to be wished. To be rid of this world's pains, to die, to sleep. To sleep. Perchance to dream. Why? Because what happens when we sleep? We dream. This takes us back to his conversation with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Because he told them what? When Rosencrantz says, it's because of your ambition that Denmark's so small, Hamlet says, I could be a king of infinite space, bounded in a nutshell, were it not for bad dreams. Here we are with dreams again. Perchance to dream, there's the rub. Why? Because if death is like sleep, and sleep gets troubled by dreams, then what troubles death? He's just taking the metaphor and saying, let's apply it strictly. What dreams may come. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil? What dreams might there be when we die? See, because death for us is not like this door, right? Why not? What does this door have that death lacks? I can see about 20 feet that direction. I can see 20 or 30 feet that direction. I can look down the hallway, down the stairwell a little bit. I can see if a guy comes running in with an AK-47. Right? Through this. Death is like looking through what? Try and look through here to see what's going on out there. Can't happen. Have any of you known somebody who's quote unquote died and come back and told you what they see? And have they ever told you specifics? No. Every near-death or after-death experience, what do they talk about? I saw a light, or I saw a tunnel. It's like, thank you very much. That's pretty vague. I want to know, what is the light? Where does the tunnel lead? Okay? So, he says, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, that's the body, must give us pause. What does he mean, give us pause? I don't know that I want to die so soon. Why? I don't know what dreams are out there. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. That's what makes long life calamitous. Why? Better to live in the slings and arrows and the shocks of outrageous fortune here than what may come. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, that is, the proud, arrogant man looking down his nose at you? Here I'm going to throw something political out. Okay? I don't care your politics. Read some of the stuff that Mike Bloomberg has said in the last 10 years, if you're considering voting for him. I'll just throw that out. Because what he says, in one sense, he's looking down his nose, even though he's only 5 feet 4. He's looking down his nose at every person in this room. Okay? There is no respect there. That's all I'll say. Just read some of the stuff he said. The proud man's contumely, the pangs, there it is again, of despised love. Damn you, Ophelia. The law's delay, because justice delayed is justice denied. The insolence of office, again, that's somebody in power looking down at the rest of us, or somebody in power saying, look at me, I can do what I want. Get off scot-free. If anybody, I shouldn't go there, but I'm going to. If any one of us had an FBI agent knock on our door and interview us, and we lied to him, you know what's going to happen? We're going to be charged, and we're going to go to jail. We're going to go to jail. So why doesn't the former director of the FBI who lied to FBI agents not go to jail? Or the former deputy director of the FBI who lied to agents not go to jail? That's what he's getting at. The person in high office who can do what he or she wants. All right? And the spurns that patient merit of the unworthy takes when he himself, why would you suffer all of these things when you could do what? When he himself might his quietus, his death, make with a bare bodkin. Pull out a dagger. Why would you endure all of this wrong at the hands of chance, nature, time, and people if you could stop it? Who would Fardels, burdens, bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life? But, that is, except that the dread of something after death. Star Trek movie title, The Undiscovered Country, from whose bourne no traveler returns. That is, from whose lands, death, no traveler, nobody who goes into death, comes back out and tells us what it's like. Within the context of the play, true or false?
False.
Who is Hamlet spoken to? The ghost of his father. He's obviously been dead. Still is.
Do they not? So the reason Hamlet can't just kill himself real quick and get out of here isn't that because they believe that they'll go to hell?
Yes. That's what his opening soliloquy, or that the everlasting had not fixed his canon against self-slaughter. If I kill myself, I go directly to hell. No chance of purgatory, definitely no chance of heaven. That is just suffering, burning, sulfurous hell. Okay? So, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns, notice it's the dread of what comes after death that puzzles the will. The will. The thing that says, I will do this. I choose to do this. I will act. It's that dread that puzzles it. It perplexes it. It kind of goes, well, maybe I won't. Like you've got the knife out, you've taken the sheath off, you've sharpened it, and you're just getting ready. What's going to happen when I die, though? Is there really heaven, hell, purgatory? See, because if you're a proud atheist, you're not worried about what happens after death. You just dissolve. There's no reason, if you're a proud atheist and you say, this life sucks, there's no reason to go on. Just kill yourself, all right? I'm not advocating anybody in there. If you're proud, please don't go out and kill yourself. If you've got mental health issues, see someone. If nobody else, come see me. I'll point you in the right direction. So, he says, that puzzles the will and makes us rather bear those ills we have. The proud man's contumely, justice denied, the arrogant person looking down at us, despised love, all those problems. Makes us bear those rather than fly to others we know not of. Thus, conscience makes cowards of us all. Conscience, right and wrong. Should I not? Because conscience says, you don't know what lies behind that door. You might be wrong. You might say nothing's there. That's why there's a saying about warfare. There are no atheists in foxholes. That is, when you're being shelled and bombarded, you're no longer, very, very few atheists stay atheists in that situation, supposedly. Okay? And thus, the native hue of resolution is sicklied over with a pale cast of thought. How many of you have ever had to do something physically, really hard? Lifting a weight, pushing a car, your car breaks down in the middle of the road, and you're the only one. You've got to push it over to the side. What happens to your face? Especially if you're really lily white. It turns beet red. Why? Because all that blood's that's the native hue of resolution. That's what he's talking about. When you really try and your face gets all flushed, it does what? Conscience does what to that? It sicklies it over with the pale cast of thought. Should I? Because then you don't have any red in your face. In enterprises of great pitch and moment, that is great meaning, great significance. After all, if he goes and says, damn it, I'm going to do it. And he runs throughout the castle and he finds Claudius. Great pitch and moment, right? Extrapolate that from today or to today. If somebody, whichever president, if somebody assassinates a president, it's big. It's major. Why? Because the person's the president. The person's been elected, whether you like him or not. When John Hinckley tried to assassinate Reagan, came pretty close. Even Democrats, we can't have this. When JFK died, it was huge. It was major. When RFK died, when Martin Luther King died, when Malcolm X died. Not presidents, but major leaders. Okay? It has ramifications and repercussions. So he says, conscience does what? It turns these things away, and with this regard, their currents turn awry and lose the name of action. And you end up doing what? You just sit down and don't do a thing. But soft, the fair Ophelia. It's like, well, golly gee, I didn't know you were there, Ophelia. And I kind of think, wink, wink to the audience. So he tells her, Nymph, in thy orisons be all my sins remembered. By the way, possible quiz on Friday, Acts 3 and 4. Okay? Quiz on Friday, Acts 3 and 4. Okay? Why does he say, be all my sins remembered? Well, he says, in thy orisons, in your prayers, remember my sins. Does that mean he's telling her that, Ophelia, when you get down on your knees and you pray to God, do you say in God, remember all of Hamlet's sins? No. It means forgive him. Why? What does the Lord's Prayer teach? Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. So when you're praying for your sins to be forgiven, pray also for mine to be. So he says, how are you? She says, fine. How are you? Fine. And then she goes, oh, by the way, I have some things of yours. And she pulls out a packet of papers. Love poems, letters, cards that he's given her. He says, I never gave you on. Those aren't mine. You know you did. It's like, it says, love Hamlet right here. And with them words of so sweet breath composed, has made the things more rich. That is, whew, and these are good. These are good letters, Hamlet. Whew. The sweetness of your breath came through. That is your soul. Oh, that made him powerful. Hamlet, are you honest? My lord. Are you fair? That is beautiful. What means your lordship? That if you be honest and fair, your honesty should admit no discourse to your beauty. If you're honest, that is, if you're faithful and true, if you're loyal, and if you're fair, you're beautiful, then your honesty should admit, that is, honesty should not give a doorway to your beauty. Okay, and you got to gloss down at the bottom of the page. Beauty. Honest meaning truthful and chaste, and fair meaning just, honorable, and beautiful are not mere quibbles. The speech has the irony of a double entendre. Okay? And she says, wait. Could beauty, my lord, have better commerce than with honesty? Shouldn't that which is beautiful be honorable and true and chaste? He says, truly, for the power of beauty will sooner transform honesty from what it is to a bawd. That is, beauty will transform honesty, here meaning chastity, to a bawd. What's a bawd again? You had it as a footnote earlier when he referred to Polonius as a fishmonger, a pimp. Okay? So, beauty will transform into a pimp. Hey, buddy, look at this. You want some of this? Then the force of honesty can translate beauty into his likeness. It was once a paradox, but now it's true. I did love you once. Notice, did. Did. That implies I don't anymore. Indeed, my lord, you made me believe so. You should not have believed me. For virtue cannot so inoculate our old stock, but we should relish of it. Stock, two meanings. Okay? One, our genealogy, who we're descended from. And two, it kind of implies something that is stiff and upright. Think Freud. Penis. He says virtue cannot so inoculate. What's inoculate mean? Prevent from getting disease. Right? The old stock, Adam, And the other meaning, sex. Why? In Shakespeare's day, STDs were rampant. I mean, he puns, and I'll stop with this. He puns throughout his plays and throughout his poems on syphilis and gonorrhea. Talking about everybody catching it. Okay? All right, we'll stop there. We'll pick up there on Friday. And like I said, I don't know how many more days. At least 3 more days probably on Hamlet. The exam is not on the day that it says in the syllabus. Don't worry about that.